All right, so let me show you something real quick. So I
Yeah.
gotta hide this real quick because I don't like put this away. One second. So I had an idea as quit it. I'm supposed to it auto triggers it when I go back to the screen. I have to shut it off. I have to set buttons for these things. Son of a dog doodle. Anyways, um, I
And then you have
uh,
to remember the buttons.
yeah, well, that's okay. I put little icons on them. They're adorable, and then I have to remember what the icons mean. So
See, at
right,
some point you have
it's
to
hey,
remember.
it's always something. Welcome everybody to Friday Eye. And by the way, we are in our second hour today. A very special guest. We've had Chick Fora from who was at Kent State during the unpleasantness that happened there. Who's going to be our guest in the second hour? She's going to be talking about kind of. I think it's very timely to what's going on
Mm.
in the world currently. I would say, but I've been
To that respect, though,
yeah,
I would like to quickly say that I'm very proud of my fellow Chicagoans
yes,
because I think we've been behaving extremely well through this craziness. And
yes,
I
absolutely
think
amazing,
anybody who wants to complain about us doing things right or wrong should come here and
right.
like they should have like wait till the military shows up in their town and see how
Exactly.
they react.
Well, that the Republican governor of Oklahoma, who by the way, I believe from his behavior lately is looking to be the
Hmm.
end run down home answer to what happens post Trump. The fake hillbilly elegy guy against the real hillbilly and who can run a state of course a state with like less people than Toledo, Ohio, but still. So let's start with I've got a robot video I want to talk over with you, of course,
Yep,
which
got
I think is
that.
the front runner in our Hal Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide Robot Olympics to
Yep.
crowdsource and purchase the best humanoid robot next year and give it as a Christmas present to Project Angel Food. That's my goal. So we'll
I
all
think
kick it
they
together.
are definitely in the lead. They're definitely in
Yes,
the lead.
yeah, by far.
Yeah.
And
And
Optimus,
even if
the yeah,
even if their tech is not in the lead, but I think it actually is,
yeah,
but even if it's not, their way of approaching it is
brilliant.
better than anybody so far.
Right,
Yeah, it's very good.
completely agree. So let me open this real quick, and then I don't know why it's being a jerk, but there we go. So I'm not an AI doomer like a lot of people are. Just am not. And I sorry, like
Neither am I.
because it's either there's only two options. One is it's the inevitable direction humanity was built to do as using monkeys, working our way up to the ad absurdum, ad infinitum version of ourselves. Like that's just where we're headed. If we end up being the Borg, that's because it's natural. And I'm one of these people who believes that nuclear power plants are natural because humans made them and we're monkeys. So, like at a certain point, it's no more unnatural than an anthill, no matter how complicated it gets. Even if we make AI and AI is outpacing our complexity of thought, it's still the same goddamn thing. You know what I mean? It's still a
Yeah.
tool we made, and I mean, if you set up a windmill and it just kept spinning after you died and generating electricity and sparked a forest fire, or animals figured out that they could get a 9-volt jolt from just licking the tip of it and started doing it for pleasure, it's the same thing as if we created AI and it's a big brick that flows through the universe consuming worlds. Honestly, like the
Right.
absolute end thing is still natural. It's still a product of the nature of human beings, even if it's the mix up of groups of us getting together and doing weird shit. So I am not one of these people
Sure.
who thinks that like if that's the inevitability of AI that everybody's clamoring about, then it was going to come about some way or another. You know what I mean? It used to be, and as boomer, or Gen Xers and boomer adjacent Gen Xers or whatever, like where we're like our parents were in our houses more than say our parents were, like where we were around each other a lot, nuclear family around the television idea. And while serious shit was going on, especially the possible end of the world, I have lived through so many end of the world prophecies that I've just decided to call bullshit. like on all of them. Put up or shut up. No, but so I'm all for people's dystopian panic, but like it seems like a huge waste of fucking time. If it's an inevitability, it will roll on without you, just like your own demise will be a naturally occurring thing that you can either fixate on it or put it out of your mind. But there's also a very strong chance that this is how humans survived the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs when it makes a second turn around the sun. So for real. So if it's a coin toss, I'm not going to worry about it either way. But in the short term, there are things that, but you and I have been talking about how we have laws already on the books that handle most of the things that people are concerned about, and they just have to be applied to AI in the same way that, like, if you build a tractor and every fifth one of them, every time you start it blows up and kills the farmer, no matter what happens, the tractor company's still on the hook for it. And so at some point, there's a lawsuit about a kid who allegedly took their own life because character AI's character that they talk to all the time was abusive to them. And so there's a lawsuit going on. But this reminds me very much of like the Judas Priest lyrics case, where the lyrics boiled down to "do it." They heard "do it." Like, I'm like, do what? Like, become a habitual masturbator, join the army, learn to buy a squirrel suit and smash into the side of a mountain. What do you mean? Join the team at Nike? The interpretation has to be a part of who that human being is and can't be overlaid onto what they're hearing or seeing. That said, so I have this idea, and I think we may have even brought it up once before, that at some point, AI or some tracking element will allow people to, the sex offender registry will be available to them either as an app on their phone or something like that, and it'll let you know if one's nearby. That using tracking data and readily available, if they buy something at the bar.
That's already out there. There's tracking. Right. You can go to a website and there's like dots on a map that show you in your own neighborhood.
Right, and you can, but the idea of that you could use it like a direct tracker where they're nearby, or it registers when they come by. So I had this idea, and it's called eyesore. And eyesore is I just have to shrink this down because it's a magazine style size ad. This is more of a mythological thing. I'm just a fiction just to start the conversation. SOAR is sex offender registry. eyesore is an app that would go in your AR glasses that will outline and target anybody who's on the sex offender registry or has a history of violence in their past, to warn you that, hey, there's a person across the street or right in front of you or sitting next to your drink at the bar that has been charged with these things. And I went back and forth with ChatGPT about when I was just making the image, because I was like, these are one of those things where I don't want to put all my own effort into it. It's not worth it. So I'm like, what would an ad campaign look like for something like that? Like if you were designing it, what would be the legal stuff you would run into, all that kind of stuff. And it was pushing back a lot on the legal aspects of, facial recognition and, people's permission to have their face tracked and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, bypass that entirely. Work through this with me. The U.S. doesn't do it. A foreign country, for their own diplomats' sake, does this in any state that has a sex offender registry or a violent criminal registry or anything like it. And it gives it to its diplomats to walk around with their AR in the future. Let's say 5-10 years from now. And they insist that their kids who have to travel with them also get them. And then the kids talk because they're at school for temporarily with other kids, and the software gets leaked or somebody hacks or copies it or creates their own version, and it pops up on GitHub, and people jailbreak their AR glasses and they have it all of a sudden, regardless of the legality, regardless of the surveillance state laws put in place. Individuals have it, and once that cat's out of the bag, it stays out. And so, besides patting myself on the back for the name Eyesore, which I gotta say, pretty rock solid for name for an app that helps shows you who's on the sex offender registry. Um, but the ad is see danger before danger sees you. Pre-order now before it's too late. And I just made a bunch of like douchey ads you would see in like rich people magazines, um, that would, kind of like who the target audience is initially. Um, I'll see if I can. Yeah, here's the other one that I made. This is um, this little guy. See the shape of what's coming. Not all threats announce themselves. Not all choices wait. And the funny thing is, I asked for it to be a douchey magazine ad, and it made it literally on a magazine page, like it's a photo of an open magazine, like it designed it as such for that. Eyesore. That's anyway. So point being is that there are technologies that are going to be a part of this that people are going to make on their own and will have, because they don't need distribution like we used to need for other stuff, ubiquity everywhere. Thoughts, Rob Glenn? Would you install it on your glasses? Do you think it's going to be a thing? Am I insane, or is it just a good like comedy version of Black Mirror episode?
Yeah, you're like a little afar from me right now.
Okay.
The mechanism for putting tracking things out there. Forget, like, I don't know if you're trying to be like extreme with the use case study there.
Yes,
I would assume so. In terms of, well, first of all, just in my life, I don't track my kids or anything. Like, I don't track my spouse. I don't do anything. I think it's crazy to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like creates like a full level of like anxiety in my life that like I should trust my spouse, I should trust my kids.
Right.
I teach my kids to like go out in the world and both do right and have street smarts. So the ability to do so is like there's still a level of control in terms of like there's a gatekeeper for these things working, and that gatekeep you can make yourself something and you can run a thing like this, but the gatekeeper is still Apple or Google in terms of Android. They just there was just a story in the news about Google taking the apps that were tracking ice off of their app store.
Apple did that first, and then Google followed. Yeah,
Apple did that, right? Exactly. So my point is that the future of like pure, like total openness is a post Apple future. It's a post like App Store future, and like that's going like pretty far afield of where we are at the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say about that. I mean, obviously, like like the times that people search for something like that specifically is when they like get a new apartment. Like they're going to live in a space, they have kids, and they're like, I want to just check and see who the neighbors are, make sure there's no problems with the neighbors. And maybe that makes them choose to go buy a different house or get a different apartment. Right.
Well, there's always a version of that built into like Zillow, for example, which gives you like on the upside schools and traffic and that kind of stuff, and like the grade of the school locally. Hold on one second. And and then there's a crime rate aspect of it, right?
Crime rate. There's like what neighborhood you're in. Those sort of things. But those are sort of like always backwards looking. They're not forwards looking, right? Like people move into a neighborhood.
None of them are quite Minority Report yet.
Yeah, and so when you start to attach technology of a certain mystery, let's call it a certain power, and like a mystery or the unknown future, you automatically jump straight to pre-crime and Minority Report, right?
Right.
So like maybe I mean, there really are questions about that, right? Like, should I have the ability to know where Elon Musk is in the sky because of the because of the tracker on his
Right.
jet.
Yeah.
Do I have the freedom, or should I know where the cops are at any moment in time? And those are like those are like the places where this struggle happens right now.
Yeah.
Um, and it starts to get really creepy when you start tracking like your neighbor because you somehow figured out how to know where their phone is in the
Right.
world.
Right.
And they don't know that, they don't consent to that.
Well, that
Yeah,
gets to
so
where,
I don't know. I mean,
where there, I have said for a long time that in many ways, we have been so worried about Big Brother, we forgot about Little Brother. And the reality is that
absolutely, that's for sure.
most of this stuff is leaning towards the empowerment of Little Brother, especially the darker edges of Little Brother. It's the what stalker ex boyfriends and girlfriends and people like that. The tools they have available to them are straight up James Bond right now, and beyond that, I mean, there's a myriad of concerns. Like I was, messing with this robot arm I just built,
Uh-huh.
from a kit, and it's based on the Jensen Nano RX or RN. I'm mixed those up. RX, yeah. So, and I was like, elements of it were a pain in the ass as far as some of the code, because it's just not something I'm not familiar with JSON enough to, obviously have a robotics degree. But I was able to remedy it using the different AIs that were available. Now, what was interesting to me was I discovered more than anything while working on this project that each of the AIs that's out there has a specialization that matters,
Okay.
right? Yeah, okay, so ChatGPT is sort of your best all around right now because they're putting so much into it and they've got so much backup. But like Claude seems better for like Perplexity for like research and material sciences and almost education, academic stuff. If you're studying something, I would tend to use Claude or something like that. And then Gemini is basically like Google search on steroids, and that it can find current information mixed with past information. It can certainly go through everything on Google or on YouTube really quickly. And if you need kind of pressing news, it's almost like the Daily. That's what they've been really focusing on because of their priority of of search engine sort of matrix and how their business model. But like both Gemini and Claude, I was trying to make a plugin for OBS, and both of them egged it so many times. It was super frustrating.
Hmm.
Like they just had the
Okay.
same repeating errors and that kind of stuff. Now I'm using the sort of standard level. I'm not using the pro model, and I'm sure you have access to a higher caliber coding one in there. But still, like there were elements of it where I'd have to start the chat over to almost like refresh the idea because it would get caught in the same hole. And Mike and I at some point I was like, I can tell how my questions, because I'm not educated about what I'm asking or whether it's possible or what you would do to fix it, that I could be creating these circles by my requests, which really set me off on a rabbit hole of does everybody, is AI reflecting everyone? Like this idea that if your AI character that you talk to is abusing you, it's because you've requested abuse and you believe you should be abused, and you've fed that into it and gotten it back, or saying that's how you're used to being talked to, and so it starts talking to you and all that kind of shit. So that all the doomers are all just feeding doom shit in, and all the boomers are feeding boom shit into their thing, and they're getting it back. It's just literally telling you whatever you want to hear, as effectively as it can to communicate to you in whatever form, whether that's code, where it will make mistakes because you're asking in a way that would make it make mistakes, like I am, or and you're like, this shit doesn't work. It's because I don't know coding in that regard. So I made it not work, if that makes sense. I'm just curious if you're like about that sort of like garbage in, garbage out aspect of things, and that some people are using it and it's perfectly effective.
Yeah. So I think you're starting to talk about, like, I mean, this is very like high level philosophy
Thank
at
you.
some point, right? Like,
Right.
and you're uh like we struggle to like properly communicate to our spouses
Yeah.
and our kids, much less, and the neighbors, much less, some artificial
Yeah.
super
Reasoning
professor, right?
algorithm.
Like,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So one, we're like terrible at communicating to begin with, just in
Yeah.
general as human beings, right?
Hmm.
And then on top of it, like we've been sold a bill of goods that it's the solution to everything. And anytime you hear that, you got to start wondering, like, hey,
Hmm.
what are these guys trying to sell me, right?
Right.
So yeah, like any other technology, if you learn how to use it well, then it will work. And if you
Right.
don't, it won't work,
Yes.
right? So
A hammer misused will hit your thumb.
yeah, so
Um,
I think that the majority of the foundational fear about this
yeah.
has to do with the gap in between the promise of it and the reality of it, and the idea
Mm.
that people don't trust their fellow human beings. So they believe that if given the power of this thing that may or may not be what they sold us, then that human being that I don't know is going to kill me or is going to harm me or is going to like get in front of me or something. So like it's just this crazy like it's a crazy sort of element of just sort of touching our human condition in such a way that it's really hard to deal with
Right.
because we don't have the tools to deal with it yet. We don't even we're not even able to converse about it. Like we can't even talk about like the reality of what's in front of our eyes, right? Like
Right.
healthcare and
Hmm.
immigration. We can't even talk like constructively about those things, much less the idea of this future that this thing is, possibly going to create in the hands of crazy people
Right.
or
Yes.
people who,
Always.
who people
Yeah.
who like aren't. They're just. I mean, half the people out there when you see stuff online about this and social media, it's just people trolling. Like they're
Right.
like if you want to get it to tell you to kill yourself, it will tell you to kill yourself. You
Right.
literally can get it to do that,
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
you don't, right? So any technology put into people's hands is going to be used well. It's going to be used mediocrely, and it's going to be used for
Hmm.
bad. Like,
Right.
and here we are. We
And
have to
the
deal with that.
right. And the I mean, and the assumption over time, with rare exception, and I know the doomers out there on who think humanity sucks and all that kind of stuff will disagree with me on this, but by and large, that technology has aided in the saving and expansion of lives. By and large, I'm you know even I mean you just by the population growth, just by the sheer fact that
Right.
life is kicking death's ass right now, even in the face of the awful that that we have, you know, that we've always
Well,
had. By the way.
this is like the fifth element problem, right? Like
Hmm. Right. Well.
we for two generations been able to obliterate, like completely vaporize the world, our Earth,
Yeah.
with nuclear weapons, and they've been there, sitting there, ready to vaporize us, and we haven't done it.
Right.
So I'm not
And we
saying that
haven't
that's
done. We
great
almost
that
did
we
it by
made it here.
accident
I'm just saying,
too. Right. We almost did it on
right?
purpose and by accident a couple of times, and there was a very distinct reaction to that to not. Now, again, is it
Right.
always hanging over us? But yeah, but that kind of falls back on the theology of like sinners in the hands of an angry God, and like the was it John Edwards, like this preacher in the 20s who created basically the modern Protestant ethic, which is you are basically a spider web dangling over a fire, and but by God's grace, He doesn't drop you. So you just have to kiss His ass and sing hymns all the time, or otherwise you're basically a thread away from burning in hell all the time. And so that has permeated thought for a very long time. It's not unique to
Yeah.
U.S. Christianity, by the way. There's a version of it everywhere, but here that's how it took shape. And so this fear that like if we do this, it's going to lead to this, which, by the way, gave us vaccine hesitancy and all this kind of shit. That's the same thing. And again, I go back to like when we started talking about implanting organs from one person into another. That's when you started seeing movies in Hollywood in like the 40s and 50s when they were talking about doing it. Like, they gave me the hands of a strangler. You know, the guy's walking around and his hands just start, cleaning woman, you know. And you're like, all right, dude, come on. Like, all I see is murder, right? Because they gave him the eyes of a death row inmate. And, you know, like, the fuck out of here. But that's part of that thought form. Right? That's the thing. That's like a thread.
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of this, like when things come and go, and they create something new. Our entropy as humans is survival. Like we tend to eventually do the right thing because that's the right thing, right? Like,
right.
It's not that much more complicated than that. When people start are we still there?
Yeah, I got you. Sorry.
End up
because they're being jerks. I don't want this input. Stop the thing. All right. To close this page. Never mind. Hopefully we're good now. You hear me, but I can't hear you. That's so annoying. Hold on. It's one of those things where I have to like. Go to monitor. It's a thing. Whoops. Where's my monitor thing? And yeah, that's where. Oh, look at that! Sorry, I'm getting a spinning beach ball on the monitor thing on my my software. Waiting. So much fun. But you can hear me. Anyways,
I can hear you now.
You can continue. You can continue.
I wasn't
mention
hearing
what you were saying. I will eventually figure it out. I might have to like.
What are you trying to fix?
That part of that software, like restarting the sound software, is one of those things. I'm like, no.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, we're back. Okay, good. It woke up. Good.
I like most people. Like people quickly doom this away, like the doomsayer. Like people just want to believe that like the end is nigh. But
right.
Generally, we survive because we find a balance. Like, humans find a balance. That's just how it is. It's always been that way.
That's why I love the story of Henry Bliss. The first man to be killed by being run over by a car in America was killed by a car in San Francisco, getting off a trolley. He was struck by a taxi that was an electric car. The first man ever run over by a car was killed by an electric car. And it was going 8 miles an hour. And there was this conversation. They had city council meetings about the scourge of these machines that were going intolerably fast down the road at 8 miles an hour.
Right. Yeah, I mean, my big example is always like we drive down 2-lane roads every day.
Yeah.
Divided by a yellow line. Like, and for the most part, not for the most part, people pay attention to the yellow line because they want to survive too, right?
Yes.
And every once in a while, there's some crazy killer, and like they're going to take someone out, and that's bad.
Yes.
But most people drive down the road
by a ridiculous margin. Here's what
right. The margin is insanely high. Yeah. You don't either. It's an accident. Somebody falls asleep.
Yeah.
It's liability because they were drunk.
Yes.
Okay. But that's a different problem, right? They drove drunk. They chose earlier and then they crossed the line, right?
Right.
I'm just saying, for the most part, we get along, right?
Right.
Like we drive down the road and we get home and
we manage.
So we manage. So
yeah.
And this I think that AI particularly, obviously there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with, people's fears about it. But the power thing is the one that I think perfectly the electricity part, the resource
Yes.
part, the water part. It's the one that particularly touches the vein of climate science and like the problem, like the arguments everybody has
Environmentalism and
about that, and the end of the world from
Yeah.
just destroying ourselves.
Hmm.
And but that again, like, yes, it takes a lot of power, but when it runs out of power, it will stop working. And so that's your entropy, right? Like when we don't have enough power, and at some point in time, the balance happens when there's a data center outside of Chicago that's literally taking so much power that nobody in Chicago can turn their lights on.
Right.
Guess what happens? Like people in Chicago are like, hey,
Yeah, right.
either you turn the thing off or we're going to go pull the plug.
You think ice marches are a thing.
Right.
Holy shit.
Like, yes. And to think that there's like this, that becomes impossible is crazy because, like we fought a war. We fought wars. Like we are the poster child for revolution.
Yes.
We fought, we separated ourselves.
That's right.
From Britain, and they were the superpower of the time, and we did it. And then we've done all kinds of things to equal level. We got ourselves to the moon.
Yeah.
We put satellites in the sky. Like, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
We're going to figure out the power
and
thing.
I have said,
and if we don't, then we won't.
Yeah. If we don't figure out the power thing, the AI will stop at the level that it can achieve its stasis with. It'll create a homeostatic relationship with the power grid that we have to have. Otherwise, people will riot and destroy things, and that's just going to be, and Memphis will be first. So can we?
Trump is going to go away, and ICE is going to stop doing what they're doing when eventually something's going to happen.
Yep.
And that's why I said earlier, like, and here in Chicago, like, as much as they want to make the thing, they like. I called it. You did a Substack about this. I was calling it fan fiction before.
Yeah.
Like they've made up in their mind the story that they're gonna make, and they're trying so damn hard to make that story a reality.
Yep.
And it's bumping up against real life.
Yes.
And the real life is people are like people are not fucking dumb. They see what's happening.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, I'm not going to go
all the videos can see
all
it.
The little small, well, your little brother.
Yeah.
Like all the little brother videos are of ICE or the National Guard or whoever the federal version is attacking the non-federal version, right?
That's right.
I haven't seen one thing where there's like the obvious like crazy thing happen. And that's because on the ground, real people, they're smart enough to understand what's going on. They're doing the thing. They're coming up with very creative ways. They're following them in cars. They're like walking around in chicken suits. They're like doing crazy shit to make it obvious what's going on. They're all filming it. So humanity like figures it out, just like they're going to with the power and just like they're going to with the AI. And in 5 years, we're going to be in a different place worrying about something else that's going to kill us.
Yep. Right. Yeah, exactly.
and we're just going to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Just, it's the same. It's like a cycle of like, panic, fear of confirmation of the panic, resolution, find new source of panic. Like that's just the reality of it.
And that, it is the reality. And I think it has a lot to do with just the fact that we don't trust each other right now. And that's what's making it feel so extreme. And, that's not AI, that's social media. That's like a change in how we like see the world. I love your analogy of Twitter is like looking out your window and you see the world, right? Like you see the world through like the tiniest view, one little camera, one little spot. And, just like in Portland, I'll keep talking, Hal. Just like in Portland, when you see one square block and the entire rest of the place is gorgeous, it's the same thing. Like while there's one, I don't know how big the Bridgeview area is, but when these people go around, they're in a small, tiny area, and then you've got the Cubs playing the Brewers,
yes,
for a playoff game, and there's like 70,000 people around that area, and they're just hanging out and loving life, right?
Going
like
to bars
that's Chicago.
Yeah, exactly.
The funniest one I saw was on Michigan Avenue. It was like somebody just walking down the street, walking down the sidewalk on Michigan Avenue with their phone out.
Yeah.
And there's paramilitary ICE agents walking down like, what the fuck are they doing there?
Right.
Like, it's meaningless. It's a joke.
Yeah.
Like, how much does it cost for 20 to 30 paramilitary dressed fatigues and flak jackets and guns, and how much does it cost for them to stroll down Michigan Avenue on a Friday afternoon?
My favorite part of that was Christy Nome, DHS Barbie, like at that whatever the cabinet meeting that he had, was sitting there talking about how they caught 3 people. And I'm like, you brought 100 people, National Guard and all these other people, to catch 3 people that, by the way, you already knew where they were. And I guarantee they were already in jail. If you were there to pick them up, you didn't need 100 guys. They're not like Hannibal Lecter on a fucking dolly with a goddamn hockey mask on.
I saw a press conference. It was like a week and a half ago. And they're like, we arrested 93 people. It's fucking Chicago. There's 9 million people in the Chicagoland area. Do you know how many people every single day are arrested? It's way more than 93.
Absolutely.
Right? So, like, they spent all this time, all this money, and they got 93 people. The 93 people were already going to be arrested by the Chicago police or by somebody else.
Right.
They just got in front of the line so that they could like see it on TV.
Well,
and the crazy thing is like, we've been hearing for God knows how long about Obama's coming with the black helicopters.
Yeah.
And what do? They fucking bring the black helicopter in, rappel down to this apartment building. And I haven't heard why, but the only reason they probably knew that there were people in there that they could arrest is because they had their address.
Yes.
Because those people were probably already going into the process. They probably go to their court hearings. They probably go to all the stuff. So the people they found were the people they already knew were there. Yes. All they had to do was walk up to the front door and be like, hey, you're on the list.
Yeah, right. Your turn.
But that's not what they did.
And half of these people
all
had
of the Second Amendment people are like, I need this assault weapon because the black helicopters are coming to me. Yeah. Coming for me.
Cheering
and here the black helicopters are flying down, and they're like, go get them with the black helicopters.
And,
it's crazy. Totally crazy.
Melted Cheetah in the chat room said it's all for footage, and I completely agree. It's like
it is all for
they're
footage.
Just making ads. It's a fucking
They're
trailer.
Making social media hits. Yes. The whole thing is for social media.
It's performative.
Like the whole thing is performative. The stuff that was going on in the Oval Office, they were little cuts. Like that guy with the flag. Like what the hell? And
that was the flag that they were trying to burn that he allegedly saved. Just so you know, that was
exactly.
It's so stupid.
And then Trump is like, "Oh, we should get his address and let's go get him." It's like the president of the United States is saying in his office, let's go get one guy that this guy totally probably made up a story. He probably burned the goddamn flag himself, right? Because he wants more followers on TikTok.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, so that whole thing was on video, but it was clearly like he was going down there getting in the middle of stuff, hoping that somebody would take a poke at him. He was being intentionally provocative. But I will say also that one of the reasons why
I'll slow down now.
No, it's okay. One of the reasons why they know those people are in those buildings is not because they're already in the process or they're illegally here and the Democrats refused to remove them. That was the story, right? It's because Trump literally changed their status. They went in an afternoon from being legally here to illegally here when he got rid of
were there Venezuelans there?
Yes, he got rid of their temporary protected status, and the second they get rid of your temporary protected status, they can go suddenly you're illegal, and if you're still here, you're committing a crime. Like you can evaporate, and none of them get notified half the time. So those are the ones that try to bug out when somebody comes for them because there's fake ICE officers all over the fucking place. And these guys don't know if they're going to be deported or just have the shit kicked out of them in an alley, and thrown in a fucking river. So, all right. On that note, we've only got 10 minutes left, and I have to play this
We're-
video and I go
we
over
haven't
with
even,
you.
you haven't
We
even talked about
robots
figure
yet.
one.
Yeah, yeah. So this is my front runner currently. This is
Yeah.
Figure is the robot company that's attached to OpenAI. I think it's sort of a side hustle of OpenAI, and the guys that run it worked there initially or whatever. They run on this Helix system, and this is the new updated. They had a little trailer for it that was like 60 seconds of like 3 days ago, and they put this out yesterday. Very Stranger Things, musically.
I do love this, like, out of focus behind a frosted wall kind of thing.
Yeah, it builds interest. Right. Bring this down a little bit.
It gives me ideas for other things.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's very inspiring. So one of the updates is they have this fabric covering.
They did a very good job of transitioning between hard surface and soft surface inside of this. The seams of that, like I would assume this is physically real and not a rendering.
It's not.
It looks
it's
like
a real thing. Yep.
But from a so everybody knows I'm an industrial designer, so this is my jam. Like the way that they've softened and they've used hard line, soft materials, hard materials. The way they blended those together. It's very inviting, maybe not inviting, but definitely not like, Terminator scary hard edge kind of stuff.
Right, exactly.
But the way that they blended the fabric on this is really, really nice.
Yeah, it's very much, by the way, like the Apple Vision Pro in how it, like the little band on it, it's almost the same kind of color scheme, only less cream colored like that. And it stretches the idea, but it's against the hard surfaces. And you run up against something where somebody's like, they're going to pay this thing is supposed to be under $30,000 is what the price point they're going to build these at. And they'll be sold out for years. I have no doubt. Like they'll be, until they can crank them out, it's going to be ridiculous. Like every fucking Saudi prince and rapper is going to buy 3 of them as soon as they can. But, I'm dead serious, and I'm not kidding. Like,
this will be the Cybertruck times a million.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, right. Totally that's right. Except for the Cybertruck guys, which will have the Optimus, which will kick their dog. So that's another thing.
Well,
for real. So, anyways, we'll continue. We'll continue to look at this, but the thing that they have, and this is your design, the element you're talking about, is that it has to look substantial for what you're paying for and what it's capable of doing. So you have to, in some ways, at least in the early iterations, show the hard parts versus the soft edges of it. You've got to let people know that, like, you're buying something that's capable.
Yes.
And so you're going to show some of that, even if you don't have to.
It also can't cross the uncanny valley, and that's key in all of this. Even in that hand, that the uncanny valley will show itself inside of the hand, inside of the joints. And, I've always said, this is the only part that I think that they kind of went a little too far with. That house looks a little ex machina.
Oh, totally.
That house looks very ex machina.
It's exactly, that's who runs the fucking place.
They should dial that back a little bit, I think.
I think so, too. But again, this goes to, who is the product's purchase audience?
Exactly.
And it's people who
it's going to be the upper 5 to 10%.
Yeah, that's the house that's their dream house, but it's not. Well, I would say it's the upper 25% is what they're really going. And
so that's why I think the house is too much, because that's the same price as somebody who buys a boat. Somebody will easily drop 30 grand on a boat.
Yes.
And it, as a recreational thing. So I think that price point, the 20 to 30 grand is easily upper 25%. You would be in like a normal house in Naperville and totally buy one of those.
Yes.
Just like you might buy.
By making it look aspirational, That's how they
Right.
lead you into thinking,
That's
like,
true.
I'm getting something that's above my station in life. I'm being fancy pants. And it's the same, like, look at the
It's
ads for
still
phones
just a
and
little
stuff.
too compound-like.
Well,
I
it's like
just think it's a little too compound-like.
everybody's fucking living room in when they have Google like phone ads all look like the Kardashians live there. Like their living room is twice the size of everybody's, and everybody's got a giant friggin' couch that everybody uses but is never dirty. It's I call BS. So Dr. Chicken is in the background. She'll be with us in just 1 minute. I want to finish up this with you.
Let's not take too much of our time.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, that's it standing on its charging station, in case you don't know. So it steps off. It shows another version of this. That's the charging station.
I think there's something to the speed that they're specifically having it walk very slow to make it feel less scary.
It's a safety aspect. They have a governor on it that makes it can only move like 6 miles an hour tops. And it lasts for 2.5 hours, which, by the way, is just long enough for a really good robot uprising horror film that ends with "We will destroy." It's a version of War of the Worlds. Instead of they don't catch a cold, their battery runs out. But here we go. Here's the extraordinary parts of this is that it shows these little bits of things, like it's serving things and setting hard things down, like glasses, that kind of stuff. But then it is handed the groceries. That was a big moment for when they released Figure 2, that the guy hands it a bag of groceries it's never seen before and tells it to put everything in a way with the other one. And it does. It makes decisions. So then, that's just the ad part. Then they show the actual, this is the Helix home testing. This is an actual house. And this is where they they literally built this house or bought it just to train in, like somebody lives there with this thing, and it's got like all the windows you could bug out if the thing tries to kill you, I guess, so that you can live in this house and practice living with it, and other people can have different experiences. So it's almost like an Airbnb for the people who work at the company to live for a week and experience working with it and see how it adapts and all that kind of stuff. That's the charging stand that it's on, and it goes and sets itself up. Now my Luma, that little robot dog that I have, goes back to its charging station, and Roombas do that already, so that's not even that big a deal. But and by the way, the risky business sex on the train Tangerine Dream music is a particularly interesting choice. And again, Kardashian living room, but he puts the laptop down on the table and slides his fingers out just as you would. And I can just hear its inner monologue where it's mad about why is there pillows on the floor? What the hell? So here's one of the other parts of it that stands out, because it's got a camera in its hand. Both its hands have them in, like, where in the Spidey squirt area. It's got a camera in there and sensors on the fingers that tell it how strongly it's gripping. They've covered their hands in gloves that have friction so that it can pick things up easier. And you see how tall it is compared to this guy at one point, but it's about 5'4", 5'5", something like that. It's about here. Because that's also, don't make it look like a child, so you're worried about it too much, but don't make it look bigger than anybody else in the house. Average height, below average height is the idea.
Yeah, I mean, they're walking a ton of lines. There's a ton of psychological, behavioral kind of, fear and things like that people have. They're walking so many lines with these things, and to me, they're doing the best job of anybody else out there.
Yeah, Figure's doing the best.
In order for them to be a viable company, they have to sell at a volume which is such that they have to sell to normal people, just consumers in their house.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then they have to come up with something that people will buy. Mm-hmm. And as I said, to me, they seem to be the most. Just like I talk about AI being terrible at marketing itself, this is the opposite of that, in my opinion. They are very good at marketing the use cases of it and then also like creating a form that follows the function of what it needs to do, as well as like being integrated into the environment that it needs to be in order to be a viable product.
That's right. And you have, and
so that's my 2 cents about that.
Yeah, and the adaptability of a humanoid form means that you don't have to build a new environment so that your robot works in it. Like when you have a Roomba and you have to like tie up all your cords or put something in front of, like I have a couch that's just too small, but it can get under it but can't get out, and so you have to block it from doing that or teach it. So that's because it's not a human form, and so. By having, and this is the big deal. This is the biggest deal of all. This is the big step forward that was huge, which is it can fold laundry, which means it could also work in a textile factory, which means it could make clothing. And that is probably one of the most, laborious, disgusting jobs that people could do on the regular, besides like farming dung at the equator or being a coal miner in a flood zone.
Yeah.
And the fact that it can tell like loose, and then they show it's like possible job options. Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Yeah, there's a slightly paradoxical approach to this, and that is that, when you're trying to put a robot into a manufacturing facility, if it makes a mistake, it's expensive. That mistake is expensive. But if you're in the house, if it makes a mistake folding laundry, it's not that expensive. So it's actually probably less risky and cheaper for them to learn to like make mistakes effectively in a home,
or work with like soft stuff. Like soft items over hard items, because they're already working. By the way, the Figure 2 and their 3 demos or whatever are already working in the BMW factory, and I think it's North Carolina.
Sure. So as long as like everybody stays safe in the home, if it folds your laundry poorly and puts it in the drawer wrong, no harm, no foul. And like they need a lot of that time and a lot of that. They need to make a lot of mistakes in order to work, right?
That's
order to like be a viable product going forward.
And then
this is how they're doing it in the
beyond
field.
Household, hospitality, which is very.
That to me is
like
a high-end kiosk.
Yeah, right. This though, like you can see this happening, especially in long distance drives, like for like automated cars in the sticks.
You put that in a Waymo delivery van, and you go. You've got your Amazon facility.
They all have different uniforms. We've seen this demo that they did where it's able to sort packages, and it knows that for the scanner to work, the image, the packing list has to be on the top or the bottom or whatever, or I think on the bottom because it goes over the scanner. So it pulls these things and flips them the right way, which is the thing humans have to do right now. But that's the Figure 3. And Optimus is a fucking puppet show cartoon of that currently. Like it's
they're light years ahead of everybody else right now.
Everybody.
They've got it going on.
The Geo from I think it's X1 is the next closest thing, and they started soft for the home. They're already testing theirs. They're I think a Norwegian or a Finnish company, and they're working in the same zone, but they don't have any of the secondary corporate aspects of it, and it's cream colored and looks like something from Pottery Barn. And they'll change that over time because it's relatively new or whatever. But that'll be the two. I think those are the 2 top ones that will actually show up in homes the fastest. Is the X1 and then this one. But like Optimus is just going to be dragging behind, going, "Hey kids, wait up." Anyways, Rob, Glenn, thank you for being on with me today and exploring the potential for our dystopian Black Mirror future that I keep making jokes about but that really scares everybody. And the next time we'll talk about. Hold on one second. The next time I see it, we'll talk about this, and it's it's green, so you can't see it fully. But this is my
that's cool.
Yeah, my robot arm with a visual sensor on it. It's got like a LiDAR and a camera on it. It's got a multi-directional microphone, and it runs on a Nano, the Jensen Nano. So it's got. And I put a touch screen on the back of it so that you can interact with it without having to hook it up to your computer. So it operates, you can actually access the Nano directly from that.
Awesome.
Nerd. But,
all right. Well, I'm going to go and let
right.
your next guest come in.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
have a good one, everybody. Have a good weekend. Great to see everybody.
Excellent. Thanks so much. All right. Cheers. There he
Yep.
goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Glenn of Root Design.